All right, so I want to talk a little bit now about actually how to put these things together. I've actually got some aprons, okay, and this was actually done on a bent. This was actually several pieces of wood, like these, okay, and then with glues in between. I think Laura's going to show you that stuff later. But just know this just came off a very simple jig, and then I can do this as wide as I need aprons. So if I need 4 aprons, I just need to do one little bit wider glue up with a bunch of different veneers. And then I can just slice. So these were actually off of the other side here. Okay, so I can actually just slice off what I need. And that way I can, if I want curved aprons or things like that, it's a nice, easy way to do that at scale. And then if I want kind of more straight pieces and things like that, okay, for other aprons, I can use exotic woods. I can keep using the balsa, whatever really works. Okay, but now I've got all the pieces I need. Okay, but I want to show you just a little bit how to handle small pieces because obviously you don't want to be taking this to the jointer and just holding it very carefully. That's not so good. Okay, or giant chop saw, or miter saw and stuff like that. It just becomes super sketchy. So I'll show you some techniques later on kind of how to do that a little bit more safely as well, how to deal with small pieces with larger tools. But I also know a lot of you aren't going to have those tools at all. So I want you to be able to work on your models at home as well. Okay, so I've got 3 legs here, all the aprons and stuff I need. Okay, and so I'm just going to go ahead and lay out this last piece here. Okay, and you can get super sassy with it and use a square and stuff too, mark stuff around if you want. Okay, and all I have here is just a little bench hook. Okay, and I've got a saw. And so I can actually just line that right up with the bench hook end. Line that right up with my line, just a couple quick pulls. Okay, will actually give me, the distance that I need. Okay, and if there are little idiosyncrasies or little differences kind of in these, they're all just a little bit different too. So we'll do one and then we'll just kind of take what we get. Other thing we can do too is go ahead and use a chisel and kind of like a little guillotine motion. And that will also help you kind of micro cut things. So you can actually just take a nice little peel right off the end grain to adjust how things are sitting. That was a little too thick, but we'll get away with it, I think. I think we may have gotten away with it. Okay, so once you kind of get everything where you want it, this is the other reason I like the basswood too, is it does shape really nicely. So if there was, if I did want to kind of, taper these legs inward one direction or another, I can just kind of mark on the basswood and it's going to cut really nice. So it allows me to kind of shape and taper things however I might like. And again, if I want to try a different look on one side of the leg than another, it's totally doable. You can do all kinds of carving and stuff to the basswood, and it'll hold that really well. The other stuff tends to crush and rip, so I tend to like these guys a lot better. The other nice thing about having a mat like this is it does allow you to kind of lay out, okay, what you're going to be doing. Now this has been glued up a few times before, so you might see some other remnants of glue before, but this kind of helps you just keep everything square. So I'm going to grab my trusty glue gun joinery, my favorite kind of joinery. And the idea here is just not to use too much. And these little glue guns like you get at Hobby Lobby and stuff like that, they tend to be a little, just not get everything super warm. So the glue doesn't tend to flow all that well. Sometimes you kind of have to hold things there for a bit, but this will help you keep everything kind of square. And the nice thing about this too is you can just heat it up a little bit and then pull them back apart. If something does go awry, like that looks like a little too much. Okay, that other one's coming apart. This is all going perfectly. Okay, and the nice thing about the glue gun joinery as well is kind of once it's set a little bit, you can flip this stuff over. And then on the inside, you can do a little bit of kind of reinforcement. Okay, and I can do a little bit of reinforcement on the back if I need to. Okay, because nobody's going to see that part. Again, you want this model to stay together long enough to get pictures of it, to send an email of it, to show it to the client. This is not something that has to last forever, but at the same time, You want it to be nice and clean. All right, so in your absence, I have glued up the model. You can see I just tacked everything kind of together to the top and also kind of buttressed some of the seams and things because they were a little on the janky side. But you know, this is a nice way to have a nice curvy walnut front apron and then, you know, different woods for the sides. You know, nice thick top on this, and this was just cut out of that kit. And if we want to spice that up a little bit, there's also, you know, and this is the nice thing about models is you can do 3 different variations of something. So I could have this frame, and if I didn't attach it to the top, I could now just pull this top off and put another top on. So this one's got a kind of slice down through it that I glued a piece of veneer on. So that could be like another variation for the client to take a look at, or for your instructor to take a look at. And gives you another quick design, right? So it's just a little bit longer, a little bit more overhang. So now you can kind of try different things. And sometimes 3D is the best way to kind of to do that, to try different things. And just know as well, if you don't want to leave it this particular basswood style, you can also veneer onto pieces of plywood, basswood, whatever. So this is just a piece of plywood that I've glued a piece of veneer on, and you don't need any fancy vacuum bags or anything for that necessarily. All you need are 2 pieces of melamine and some clamps. So you can actually just go ahead and put some glue on the surfaces, clamp them together, and then you can have like a walnut top, or try a maple top, or some sort of more exotic top like this more exotic wood here. Okay. So just know, again, you're only limited by your imagination on this stuff, and don't get stuck with one model. You can also try different variations of different things too, and see what you like. A couple things on care and feeding of your models. If you leave this now in a hot car, for instance, or on your dash, these glue joints will all actually heat up and melt. And it will fall apart. So just keep it out of direct sunlight, keep it safe. Boxes are a great way to kind of transport your models, just so these legs are not getting a lot of stress, for instance. The other thing you can do is, I was talking about different variations for the top and things. You can also, if you did glue this all together, or this was a more complex model, you can actually just take these parts and, unglue them, right? By actually heating up these joints and pulling them apart. Then you can put back together with different pieces or different colors or different ideas. And that way you get, several ideas out of one model. And if you take pictures of them along the way, that way you've got it recorded. And that's really all you're trying to do with the model anyway, is, have it to be together long enough to show to a client, show to your instructor. And if you take pictures along the way, you can rip this apart, take a shot, try something else, or even while you're putting something together, you come up with a different idea. You got the time to be able to do that by just taking a quick shot of it before it's even completely assembled.